at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. I know cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to Time for Hemp all around the world on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and, of course, at timeforhemp.com. It is Tuesday, and we put a spotlight on the amazing, hardworking activists up in Canada who have led the charge in the cannabis prohibition. You got a great industry up there that even the government will sometimes help underwrite the cost of promoting worldwide. So I just love that aspect of it. And we have on the program today my joint host, Kelly Kristen from KDK Distributors. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Casper. How you doing today?
Groovy, thank you. It's been a fantastic day in Portland, and we got Dana Larson as our representative of Canada as our guest today. Good morning, Dana.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, we love hearing from you. You bring a lot to the table when you take time for hemp. Doesn't he, Kelly?
Absolutely. It's always nice to have guests who have a lot to say and are involved, of course. Frontline stuff. Yeah, they're always the best guests, without a doubt. And I'm sure our listeners enjoy hearing them more so than some of the guests we get on. But hey, it's got to be once a week. Got to give everybody a shot. So, well, Dana, what's new and exciting with you? How's life?
Well, life is good, I guess. There's always lots going on. I'm going to the Mail Order Marijuana Cup this weekend in Vancouver. In my house, I've got boxes and boxes full of envelopes full of cannabis seeds that we're sending all across the country, and it's a beautiful day in Vancouver, so I can't complain.
Well, it's snowing quite heavily here, has been all day, and they say it's not going to stop, so we got quite an accumulation out there, so nice that it's you got great weather in Vancouver, which is normal, I guess, especially at this time of the year. Seeds, packages of seeds. I bet everybody's wondering what you're doing with all those packages of seeds.
Well, this is year 2 of my Overgrow Canada campaign, and I got my hands on a very large quantity of cannabis seeds. It's a low THC, high CBD variety. I've got millions of these seeds, and last year we gave away over 2 million of them all across Canada. So far this year, I've got 1 million seeds in the mail to 10,000 people that have signed up all across the country for 100 seeds each, so that's 1 million seeds there. We'll be touring all across Canada, hitting 22 cities, giving away these seeds and encouraging people to plant them in City Hall and traffic circles, in front of the police station, or anywhere else in their community, so that we can normalize the cultivation of cannabis all across Canada. I want it so that when you're walking down the street and you see a cannabis plant, it's not a big deal because you've seen 10 more that day as you're walking around town. And to me, that's what legalization should mean. And so we've been giving away all these seeds, and it's going pretty well so far.
You betcha. I know you were in my town giving some away, but they give you a little grief here last year.
Yeah, I'm still facing charges, actually. I'm on bail for trafficking in cannabis seeds. Last year in Calgary was the second stop on our tour. I was arrested and spent the night in jail and had to pay bail and do a bunch of stuff to get out of jail. But I kept touring last year. I went to 17 more cities and had no problems after that. So it's a bit patchy how they enforce this stuff, like all of Canada's pot laws. But, yeah, I'm still on bail. I've got a hearing in May in Calgary about this trafficking in cannabis seeds charge, which is bizarre because you can buy cannabis seeds over the counter, like high-potency marijuana seeds over the counter in Calgary and pretty much every other Canadian city. So that's what's going on. But I've given away over 1 million seeds this year, opening at 5 million target this year, and get more and more seeds out to people. And we're continuing on, and we're not stopping.
Excellent. I like to hear it. And like you say, I know that not just in Calgary, but in stores right across the country are openly selling cannabis seeds. So it's a pretty strange charge, I'm sure. I don't understand it, but I do understand the mentality of this part of the country. I mean, you guys are pretty open and have been for many years, where we just haven't been. There's been no culture here, nothing like that going on. It's it's just the way that it is, and it's unfortunate, but things are always have been a little rougher out here, and I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Well, much if the analogy holds, but Alberta's kind of a Texas of Canada in some ways, I guess, right? A lot of oil, a lot of rednecks, and not necessarily always so pot-friendly everywhere. I mean, the regular folks obviously love cannabis everywhere in Canada, but it's a bit trickier there. But yeah, absolutely. It's the bizarre enforcement of Canadian pot laws, which continues, where we have all these laws on the books, but they don't really enforce them unless you are poor or unlucky or you get a lot of media attention. And otherwise, they tend not to enforce a lot of these laws. And so bongs and pipes are still illegal in Canada. Seeds are still illegal in Canada, but of course you can buy them everywhere. Most Canadians don't even realize these things are still banned, but once in a while they'll come after a store or after somebody who's getting too much attention and arrest them. So it's something we're going to change, and hopefully we will change in Canada.
Well, I think we are moving towards that for sure. Got a ways to get there yet, but it's creeping along. The stuff is happening.
We got Trudeau in Canada, who's said he was going to legalize and is moving at a glacier's pace towards legalization, but he hasn't changed anything yet. So the laws are still the same as they've always been in Canada, and we're getting impatient waiting for this change to happen.
Absolutely. But it's very typical. Government has always moved at a fairly snail's pace, except now, unless you get someone who loves whipping out executive orders, then things can happen fairly quickly.
Yeah, I suppose. Although I think a lot of those executive orders are more show than action. A lot of them aren't really actually doing anything, but certainly there's a lot of sound and fury going on. And, I know a lot of pot activist friends who were excited about Trump and thought that he was going to legalize cannabis and make some changes in a positive direction. But what we're seeing now is that, Sean Spicer saying that they're going to be enforcing the marijuana laws more strictly, and they're going to increase the drug war, and they're going back to privatized prisons. And so I'm not optimistic. Maybe we'll see some cannabis refugees coming across the border over the next few years as they try to escape the renewed war on pot from President Trump. I mean, we had Prime Minister Harper before Trudeau, and although they're very different personalities, in some ways Harper and Trump were very similar. Harper's much more soft-spoken and not so bombastic and loud and everything, but Harper also, as Prime Minister in Canada, sort of went against a lot of the traditions and norms of how things were governed, didn't break the rules, but just changed a lot of things that were done. And for instance, he would introduce all the bills in one big bill that year, an omnibus bill, rather than introducing multiple pieces of legislation, and kind of wouldn't talk to the media, had a lot of conflict with reporters in the media and put them down a lot. And he was replaced by Pierre Trudeau, who said he was going to legalize marijuana, and came in as this young, handsome voice of change, and promising big things, a new voting system to make our voting system more fair, and to legalize marijuana, which was a huge change. And now he's abandoning changing the voting system. He's taking forever on marijuana. It might not get legalized until after the next election. And so I'm hoping we don't end up with a backlash against that change. And we've got our own crazy millionaire guy who's trying to run for the leader of our Conservative Party, Kevin O'Leary. He's also a TV, plays a millionaire on TV kind of guy. And so I'm worried that we're going to see in Canada maybe a backlash against this before Trudeau gets to legalize it. He's taking so long. We could end up electing our own mini Trump in Canada and missing this opportunity. And, this is the third time that the Liberal governments of Canada have promised legalization. It happened under Trudeau's dad, Pierre Trudeau, in the 70s, and it happened under Jean Chrétien in the 90s. And both times they made that promise when there was a left-wing Democrat in the House, in the States, as the president. And then before they could complete it, Americans elected a right-winger. It went from Carter to Reagan, and then it went from Clinton to Bush. And so they ended up not doing anything, I think partly to appease American pressure. And I'm sure hoping Trudeau hasn't missed his chance I think Obama would have reacted less negatively to legalization in Canada. Trump's a wild card, but if they start putting pressure on Canada not to legalize, I'm worried we're going to get delayed even further here.
Yeah, so you guys have buyer's remorse from the bait and switch that was handed to you as well then, huh?
Well, yeah, we'd like he would act on stuff, I mean, Trudeau's, we still think he's better than the last guy, but he's not. We're still living under Stephen Harper's laws when it comes to marijuana and other things, and we want Trudeau to decriminalize possession right away. If you announce you're going to legalize it and we're going to start selling it in stores in a year or two, then what is the point of continuing to arrest somebody with a few grams in their pocket or a few plants in their garden? And so we would have liked to have seen, we understand it takes a while to get legal pot in place. That can't happen overnight. But what can happen overnight is to decriminalize, to stop arrests. We just calculated there's been over 56,000 cannabis arrests in Canada since Trudeau became Prime Minister. It's over 100 a day. And we think it's time to stop. And so that's kind of one of our big pushes now, is to encourage our Prime Minister to actually act on this and to decriminalize possession and personal cultivation while we wait for real legalization to come. But it's a hard push.
Well, we're all hopeful, of course, and we all want someone to be, a little quicker on the ball in doing this stuff. But I don't think, he himself has the power or the ability to do that. And but I really think it's coming, and I think it's going to be hopefully sooner than later, of course. But hey, let's.
Well, I hope it's coming sooner. He does have the power, though. I mean, our Prime Minister has the power. He doesn't have to have an act of Parliament. They can reschedule the drugs in the drug schedule just by the health minister announcing it. So if they really want to decriminalize, they could put it through Parliament. And in Parliament, the NDP is pushing for decriminalization. So if they pass the bill, the NDP would vote for it. And so it would definitely pass. I know we're supposed to be patient, but Trudeau saying it could be 2019 or longer. There's going to be another 100,000 people arrested for possession in Canada between now and then. So, we're trying to be patient, but I want action. We've been patient for decades now, waiting for the laws to change. I hope Trudeau gets around to it sooner rather than later.
I agree. Well, I'm as hopeful as the next guy for sure. I really feel and do believe that it is going to happen. And yes, let's make it happen faster. Everybody listening out there, you all got an opportunity. Let's let them know.
Yeah, they've actually got the top cop in Canada, Bill Blair, is traveling around to talk about legalization. And we already had this committee task force that went around and had hearings, not really public hearings, but they talked to a lot of experts and stakeholders and things like that. And their recommendations are pretty good. The task force recommended everybody be able to grow some plants for themselves. They recommended that prices keep low, that taxes aren't too high, that the industry of cannabis growing includes small-scale producers and isn't monopolized by big corporations. And I think Bill Blair is traveling around to trying to sort of mop up any resistance. He was in BC here recently talking to all the Chinese community, the city of Richmond, which is a very heavy Chinese population. And interestingly, whenever I talk to BC politicians about marijuana issues, they almost always agree with me in private, but they're always worried about the Chinese community in BC, and there's a perception that the Chinese community is very anti-cannabis and sees cannabis the same as opium and heroin, and is a political force against changing the law here. And so Bill Blair is meeting with the Chinese community, and I'm hoping that he's helping to educate them about the benefits of cannabis and why they don't need to be afraid of legalization.
Well, yeah, like you say, it's different when everybody's in private what they want and what they feel they can do publicly. Of course, all the politicians are worried about being in that same seat again come next election. So they have to try to appease their constituents. And that's where it is anywhere, wherever you may live, whatever you may deal with. Realistically, as the guy who has been voted in there, you need to represent your constituents and not what everybody else in the world wants. So, that's part of the democratic system. So then what we have to do is work harder to educate the Chinese about the value of cannabis in that area, the same as we would as somebody else in another area that also oppose cannabis.
I agree. I think it's frustrating that our politicians are always afraid to bring up cannabis and to talk about it, even though it's really a winning issue. In the States, those referendums at the state level, the vast majority of them pass. And there's definitely a lot of interest in this, and it gets people to come out and vote. I'm convinced if Hillary Clinton had come out and said, I'm going to do what Obama didn't do, I'm going to legalize marijuana at the federal level, the time wasn't right before, now the time is right, states have been voting for this, I'm convinced she'd be president if she'd come out for legalization. I mean, hard to say, but certainly in the states where it passed, it got more votes on the ballot than either of the candidates did. And so I think Americans and Canadians are ready for legalization, are ready for alternatives in drug policy. You've got this huge fentanyl crisis going on in BC. People are dropping dead from fentanyl every day in large numbers. And polls are showing that British Columbians are ready to talk about hard drug legalization and finding better solutions to those issues that don't involve jailing people and watching them dropping of overdoses every day. And so I think there's a lot of people. I think on this issue, the people have been ahead of the politicians for a long time, and I expect that probably to continue in the future.
I agree. We got way too many people dying of this overdose. Not even that, all drugs harm. We need to do something about it. It's a horrible situation.
Yeah, and we know that cannabis helps prevent opioid use. In the American states that have legalized medical marijuana, you see less opioid use, you see less overdose deaths, and it just makes sense. You've got a safer alternative for your pain relief. And even if you are using opioids, you can use less when you combine it with cannabis, or not have to use any opioids at all for your pain relief. And so less use, less overdoses, less problems. I'm not for cracking down on other drugs. I'm for legalization and regulation and harm reduction, but the place to start is obviously cannabis, and it's going to help us to solve the other problems of opioid addiction is to increase cannabis access.
Without question, cannabis is the start, and we see it happening though. But is it just a fallacy, like you say? Is all of a sudden Trudeau going to get voted out, and then the Conservatives are in, and they go, not a chance, not on, like Harper would say, not on my watch? Is Trump going to come in and just start to enforce federal regulations on the states that do have legal cannabis? We're in a tenuous time right now, I think. You've got to continue to plot forward, and like you say, not let them sit back and say, okay, yeah, I promised that when I got elected. Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, well, like you say, in the time, people are being arrested, and it's just insane. They have a mandate, like you say, instantly. Why not withdraw a lot of these laws that are out there immediately? They can give a directive and say we don't even want to charge under these acts anymore. It takes a lot longer to change the law, which they can also do, but immediately they can decide not to charge people under those statutes.
Well, absolutely. And I think that we can get complacent very easily in certain parts of North America. I live in Vancouver, where there's over 100 dispensaries selling marijuana, where I can walk down the street smoking a joint. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. But of course, in most of Canada, it's not the case. And, in the U.S., if you live in Colorado or California or Washington or something, it's easy to sort of figure, well, we've won, marijuana is legal, but it's not done at all. And these victories that we've won could easily be pushed back. And we've got a long way to go before we're really secure in the future of legalization. I think it's all very tentative right now. We still have a lot of work to do to lock this stuff in place. And so I hope the cannabis community is not just resting on our laurels now, but is pushing forward, continuing to fight, continuing to open these things up. I think in the States, too, these laws tend to get enforced more in rural areas. They get enforced more against minorities and against poor people and young people. In Canada, it's very disproportionate towards our First Nations population in terms of who's getting charged for marijuana. It's very much in the north. People get charged a lot more and arrested a lot more and have a lot more issues. And so in the big cities, we kind of forget that this war is still raging across Canada. People are still being arrested and charged and convicted all the time for all kinds of silly marijuana offenses. And that what we've won in Vancouver, what we've won in several American states, could easily be rolled back if there's enough pressure from the federal government. Then we can lose everything we've accomplished. So we got to keep pushing and keep fighting, until we finally lock it all in.
And what we got to talk about now is how we pay our bills, and then we're going to listen to a song about how fantastic cannabis is. And then when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp.
Well, Western had a bowl, good green reefer, big fat don't be much sweeter. Mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Just mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, I don't hide it. Fire up right now.
I guess I am the final presenter list formally on here, and I want to commend you, first of all, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Hagman, for inquiring in this. I want to commend you for your leadership in bringing up this really important topic. And I'm also going to commend you for staying within schedule. That's an amazing accomplishment in itself. I would, now that I guess I am the last presenter, like to comment quickly about a few other things that have been discussed, and then I would like to talk to you about children. But that issue really has not been addressed particularly, except maybe by Reverend Richardson. The first is that if this state of California were to in fact make this marijuana no longer illegal for adults, that is not at all the same thing as condoning it. We don't condone the smoking of cigarettes or the using of alcohol, etc. So to put that label on it, I think, is inappropriate. Number two, as I have an understanding that today, as we speak here in Sacramento, that there are thousands of people in prisons in the state of California today for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Thousands in prison for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Why? Because they're on parole for one reason or another. And once they get off parole for whatever that offense was, if they smoke marijuana, it's a violation of parole, and they're immediately put back into state prison with all of the benefits that they had accrued, getting jobs, etc., supporting their families, being lost. Another one is that the tougher we get with regard to marijuana prosecution, literally, from my experience as a judge, and I have seen this in Orange County forever, the softer we get with the prosecution of everything else. And that is something that we simply have so many resources, and if we're spending them in prosecutions of marijuana, we are not spending them for prosecutions of rape, homicide, etc. Then, marijuana will never put this violence that we heard earlier out of business. All of these statistics that you heard earlier about the violence and the killings of both the police officers and everyone else is occurring under today's system of marijuana prohibition, etc. The only way you put these Mexican cartels out of business and these other violent creatures out of business is to undercut the price, to make it no longer illegal so that you don't have that enormous profit motive to get these people involved with that violence, etc. The only way you do it is to undercut the price, and Assembly Bill 390 is a really good place to start. Otherwise, there are marijuana today that is stronger in our society without a doubt. But the reason why it's out there and stronger is because of marijuana prohibition. That there are lots of people who would much prefer, like you said, not to use the stronger stuff, but the cardinal rule of prohibition is always push the stronger stuff. So if I'm a bootlegger and I run into the same criminal justice problems for selling a barrel of beer as a barrel of bourbon, guess which one I'm going to push? The bourbon, because I make more money. It's the same thing with marijuana. Nothing is going to be legalized in this state. It is a program of the strictly regulated distribution. It wouldn't be legalized. It's a strictly regulated distribution, just like alcohol and cigarettes. We hopefully will not advertise them. Please put into your legislation not to allow this to be advertised. We want to de-glamorize it, not glamorize it. So no advertising, and hold people accountable for their actions. I know I'm going on, but I'd like to talk about children for a couple of minutes, because today our marijuana laws are putting our children in harm's way. We are continuing with this failed program for all of its defects, so-called, because we want to reduce the exposure of a lifestyle of marijuana usage and marijuana selling to our children, and it's doing the opposite. Today, it is easier for our young people to get marijuana than it is alcohol. And if you don't want to listen to me, ask any teenagers you can find. They will tell you that because of alcohol prohibition, or marijuana prohibition. And Reverend Richardson kind of stole one of my lines because it's true, because the illegal dealers do not ask for ID. So let's make it less available for children by regulating and controlling it. Number two, adult drug dealers will recruit children to sell drugs. They will recruit them into their own drug distribution system. For $50 in cash, you can buy all of the 15, 16-year-olds in the inner city or anywhere else that you want to. It's chump change for the adult drug dealer. It's lots of money for a kid. So you use them as gophers and lookouts and couriers, and as soon as their reliability is established, then they're trusted to sell small amounts of drugs out in the communities. And who do they sell to if they're out there doing it? I assure you, no one in this room. They're going to sell to their 14, 15, 16-year-old peers. That is despicable, and it's caused by drug prohibition. So I say, let's reverse that, let's turn it around, let's regulate it, let's control it, because this prohibition is not working. I believe it fervently. I am so concerned about our children. I'm so concerned about these illegal marijuana out there with all of its ramifications. I want to reduce those harms by passing your legislation, and I commend you again for these hearings.
Tell y'all a little bit about a plant I know that can save the world. It grows long and tall and has flowers that can make your mind swirl. It's a funky plant with a fiber that is resistant to rain and mold. It's the strongest plant fiber known to man, the best rope you'll ever hold. Well, the pioneers covered up the wagon trains with a canvas made of hemp. And Washington and Jefferson grew it on their farms, said to make the most of it. First stars and stripes were sown on hemp, first constitution too. This is around the world for food, fiber, oil, medicine, and fuel. And if we press its seeds, we won't have no need for any other oil. We can make paints and inks, or run our car, we'll go back next season, it'll fix the soil. The most nutritious seed we can put in our mouth with omega-6 and 3. We can feed the world with the tree of life and live sustainably. But if we cut down all the trees, we won't have nowhere to breathe. We'll grow fields of hemp instead. We can make our paper, build a house from it. It's the God's plant growing wild and free, living the way that we ought to be. Gonna leave my children a better world than my ancestors left me. Whoa, whoa. La 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 la. Whoa, whoa.
Marijuana plant, they often call it dope, can also be made into oil or rope. Some people say you smoke it and you feel fantastic, but from hemp you can make an alternative to plastic. Made from plants, not petroleum, you see, so it won't still be around in 4003. It can biodegrade, which means there'll be less pollution. Just another reason for a hemp revolution.
Well, the flowers of the female hemp plant make the best medicines on earth. Helps cancer and AIDS patients eat their food. Helps those with depression overcome the blues. Glaucoma, epilepsy, nausea, insomnia, stress, neurosis, psychosis, pain, PMS. All the studies have been done and all the doctors agree, but they can't make money off this plant, you see, because it's free. It grows from a seed, wild and free like we ought to be. You know the future is grown in our own backyards. If we cut down all the trees, we won't have nowhere to be. We'll grow fields of hemp instead. We can make our paper, build a house from it. It's the God's plan going wild and free, living the way that we ought to be. Gonna leave my children a better world than my ancestors left me. Whoa, whoa. La 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 la.
billion-dollar crop. With the invention of the quarter kid, they can produce it non-stop. But then a smear campaign with Mexicans to blame, thought of making people thinking to make your brain go pop. Yeah, since then it's never stopped. It ain't like getting high for paint and crack rock. Time to bring it back to nature, time to bring back some life. Let the farmers do their job, stop giving them strife. Renewable resources, life-giving forces. Panels for your cars and saddles for your horses. DuPont, Monsanto, making the wrong choices. Suicide genes, extinguishing our voices. Cutting down the trees, polluting the seven seas. Leaving the fate of the planet to the corporate entities. Corrupt politics, warfare, disease. Now it's time to make a change, it's time to plant seeds.
10% nutritious, you can oil seeds. It gives you all the protein you will ever need. You can make it in a sandwich with jelly or jam. Or make it in a soap or a lotion for your hands. You can make it into fuel, put it right in our cars. Then we won't need the oil and won't have to start wars. You can make it into paper, write as much as you please. Cause it grows like a weed and we won't have to cut trees. So put your faith in hemp, such a versatile plant. And don't let the government tell us we can't. Cause hemp can help us all in so many ways. And it doesn't mean that we will all be living in a day's versatility, sustainability. Look at history, it ain't no mystery. Hemp for victory.
If we cut down all the trees, we won't have nowhere to be. We go fields of hemp instead. We can make our paper, build a house from it. It's the good God's plan, growing wild and free. Living the way that we ought to be. Gonna leave my children a better world than my ancestors left me. Whoa, whoa. La 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 la. Whoa, whoa. So in this modern day and age, when we seem to lack spirituality, this one single plant can bring us back almost 10,000 years in history. To the Shiva, Puranas, the Jesus, the Christ, to the Buddha, the pagans, the goddess, the light, to commune with all the animals, to one with all the trees, to realize we gotta see, cause inside me, as the earth is a mother, we gotta take care of the earth, cause the earth is the mother that gives life birth, and we can heal all our relations with a single green plant, and we can start right now.
We got to legalize, we're gonna come alive, all the people who know what's up, gonna say what the heck we letting these suckers get away with it for. Come on and open the door, are you with me, it's gonna take my organ, so shut the suckers down. We're not fooling around, but they're keeping us divided, opposite sided. What do we Americans do? We keep buying it, black and white, they're making us fight and still in the same racist hatred justifies violence over nations. Gotta wake up to see the real enemy is the powers that be from the opposition scene. Wake up now to nature's creation, sacred herb can unite the nations. Gotta legalize the herb of adoration. All of this use is gonna heal the nation. Heal the nation. Heal the nation. Gonna heal the nation. Gonna heal the nation.
I'm your host, Casper Leitch, and we are with Dana Larson and Kelly Kristen today. It is a tribute to all the hardworking activists up in Canada. I tell you, Kelly, you guys lead the way, and you've been focused on medical cannabis as a cure that a lot of people seem to overlook. And you can even get healthier if you do it through a vaporizer. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. As most people know, vaporization is generally a better way to consume your cannabis because it's less harmful, eliminating combustion and the carcinogens that go along with that. But you got to be careful, of course. Some vaporizers do off gas and do have air travel across areas that shouldn't be. Generally, if you spend enough money, like anything else, there's one for $50 and one for $500. For the most part, the more expensive vaporizers are all pretty good. Over the last few years now, we've had the pleasure of being able to give away a quality vaporizer free to a medical patient who uses cannabis anywhere in the world. So wherever you're listening, you're eligible, as long as you are use cannabis to heal your ailment or woes, whatever they may be. It's super simple to apply. All you got to do is send me an email to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get your name in the hat. And if we draw you, we'll send the vaporizer right to your door free of charge.
And on behalf of the movement, Kelly, thank you so much to you and your team for making that possible.
I'd like to mention, Casper, coming up at 420, April the 20th, which is a little ways away yet. I know it's a little early, but we're going to give away 24 vaporizers on that day. 2 different companies. They're They're outdated vaporizers. They're still decent vaporizers, but they're really not sellable anymore. They're brand new, and we're just giving them away on 420 to medical patients. So we're going to fill a lot of those people that don't have one. Drop us a line, because once we have your name, we just keep it in the hat, and we're going to draw a whole pile of them on April the 20th.
Nice. Dana, you got something going big too on 420, don't you?
Absolutely. This year is going to be the 23rd year of our 420 celebration in Vancouver. I believe that we're the longest running April 20th event in the world after 23 years. And last year we moved from downtown, where we've been at the Vancouver Art Gallery, where our event used to fit, but over the years it's gotten so crowded we were taking up 5 or 6 downtown blocks, blocking off traffic, all of the whole downtown core. And so we moved it last year to the beautiful Sunset Beach, had a wonderful time there, and that's where we're going to be again this year. I'm expecting over 100,000 people to come out. It's one of our city's biggest events, and something we never advertise. It just kind of happens on its own due to people loving cannabis and wanting to come out there and enjoy the tradition. And I'm excited this year. And we have it's always a bit of a challenge working with the city and the park board. Sometimes they're a bit hostile to our event, but this year they're being very friendly. I think we've overcome a lot of challenges, and we're really, I think, moving into a new era here of acceptance and support for these kind of cannabis events. And so it's going to be a big one this year, 420 in Vancouver. If you're going to be in town, come on by. There's nothing else like it in the world, as far as I know, where it's a one-day farmer's market where we have 200 booths, mostly selling cannabis and hash and edibles and other cannabis products. And it's like a huge one-day marijuana farmer's market in downtown Vancouver. I don't know anything else like that in the world, and it's a wonderful time.
Nice. Fantastic. Kelly?
Yes, I have had the pleasure of several years ago spending a 420 in Vancouver, and of course compared with the so-called event that we have in Calgary, where we get, depending on the weather, anywhere from 200 to 500 people out. 100,000 is just is mind-boggling for me. And when I was there, even the event I attended, which was at your previous venue, it was packed, and there were people everywhere, and it was quite spectacular for me, being a Calgary kid and having absolutely nothing remotely close to that available here in Calgary. And it's still that way, and your event has continued to get bigger, and I highly recommend, if you are in town, it's probably the premier event to get to, probably in the world, for 420.
Well, right on. We used to only have a few hundred people back in the early days, so hopefully if Calgary keeps going, and several years from now, there'll be tens of thousands and 100,000 coming out in Calgary too. But absolutely, it takes a long time and a lot of effort to get from here to there. But we're going to keep pushing it for the rest of Canada. And 420 is really more and more Canadian cities than ever before. Every year, more cities join up. A lot of the events are quite small, of course, but it is great to see this 420 phenomenon really spreading across Canada and becoming a trend in so many small towns and cities everywhere.
Maybe your prime minister should show up there and give a speech.
Well, I've been talking to some British Columbia politicians about doing exactly that. We've got a BC election coming up in May, and really whoever wins this election provincially is going to be the one that helps write all the marijuana laws, as legalization comes into play over the next 4 years. A lot of it's going to be provincial. And so I'm hoping I can get some politicians to make cannabis a big issue in this election, and I won't say who or what, but if one of them were to show up at 420 and give a speech, that would really be quite incredible and really show a lot of advancement for our movement and for politics in Canada.
Hear that, true that. Well, let's hope you have more than one. Let's hope you have a few, and like you say, make it an issue, because it will be an issue. And I believe, it seems like they are leaning towards letting the provinces dictate a lot what happens with this cannabis legalization as far as distribution and that is concerned. So, it's important that the people that are in power at that time are made aware of what's available and what's going on, and hopefully make a really informed decision. And it's, some things will be the same, obviously, coast to coast as far as rules and regulations, but I think provincially things will be slightly different from province to province.
And with alcohol, it varies a lot across Canada. Each province gets to make their own alcohol laws, and there's some federal rules around importing and exporting and this and that, but age limits are set by the provinces, points of sale, tax rates, almost all the issues around alcohol and tobacco are done provincially. And cannabis will fall under the same thing. So I think it's quite likely we could see a somewhat different system in each province, probably the same basic, setup in place, but there could be some variations on age limits or taxes or where you buy it and that kind of thing. In a way, it'll be good because we can have experiments going on simultaneously in each province to see, what works and what's the best way to grow and sell cannabis and what doesn't work. But definitely, I think they're going to download a lot of this to the provinces. It's just easier politically and let them deal it. And a lot of the provinces are going to download it to cities. We've already had one city in Vancouver, in BC. In fact, the Chinese city of Richmond has already said, we're not going to allow any dispensaries. Even when it's legal, we're not going to let them sell marijuana in our city. We are so against this, we're going to stop it. Even if they legalize it federally, we're still not going to allow it. And they can't really do that legally, but it's going to create some interesting situations. And we see this in the States, too, where some cities, I know in some cities and towns in Colorado, for instance, have tried to resist legalization at their level and tried to ban shops and activities at the municipal level. So it's always a multifaceted battle. You got to fight your federal politicians, and when they give in, you've got to fight your state politicians, and then even you got to fight your local politicians. And there's always someone out there who wants to stop us from changing these laws, and we'll do whatever they can.
Oh, yes, they exist, and they're not going away. That's for sure.
Well, that's what keeps you writing all the books that you keep writing. Isn't that right, Dana?
Hey, great segue. Yes, I have got a few books out. I got 4 books in print, and I'm working on a few other ones. I've got the most serious book I've written is The History of Cannabis in Canada. It's fully illustrated, and it's full of facts and information about the 400 years of cannabis, full of interesting anecdotes and stories about hemp cultivation in the early days, about doctors in Nova Scotia in the 1800s getting super high, Canada's first hash overdose, the rise of activism and legalization, and all the modern changes that have happened. But I've got a few other books as well that are more fun and a lot of parodies. There's kind of one for each age group. I got one called Green Buds and Hash, which is like a green eggs and ham parody, a Dr. Seuss style story with a medical marijuana twist. That's really for the youngest ages, I guess. And then I got one called The Pie-Eyed Piper, which is a hempen fairy tale about the wonders of cannabis, and it's for kids that are a little bit older or those who want something a little more complex. And then I've got Harry Pothead and the Marijuana Stone, which is a full-on novel. It's a parody, of course, of the wonderful Harry Potter series.
I love the titles.
And it's illustrated as well, but it's really a book. And these are all available for purchase at greenbudsandhash.com or hopefully at a head shop near you.
Nice. So what do you got coming out now? What's going to be your new thing in print?
Well, I've got a few books I'm working on. We're doing a comic book adaptation of the Harry Pothead series, and that's coming out soon. I'm also writing a series of short stories about the hashtastic adventures of Sinbad the Strain Hunter. And it's a Sinbad character who travels around the ancient world finding magical strains of cannabis and having fun adventures like that. I'm also working on a few other cannabis fairy tales like Jack and the Hemp Stalk and Little Green Riding Hood and stories like that. And these will all be coming out over the coming year. I'm hoping by the end of the year I've got another 6 or 7 books in print, and we can really start putting this stuff out.
Well, now,
people like these kind of stories, and they're a lot of fun.
Why don't you do a little comic book about Casper and friends and make it me and all the people who are trying to end prohibition and all the things that we can educate the world about?
Well, I'll definitely keep that in mind. And I do work a lot of the real world into the Harry Pothead story. There's a lot of shout-outs to real activists and real people and real events that I've worked into that story. But, yeah, Casper the friendly ganja-ist or something. I don't know.
Casper the friendly
how to make it pot-related.
Casper the friendly hemp host. Casper the friendly host.
There you go. Casper the friendly hemp host. Well, I'll think about that. Sounds good. My mind's already turning.
Please, it would be an honor to find myself in your work.
Well, I'll see what I can do. It's a long, slow process from idea to finished book. Unfortunately, some of these things take a few years to manifest. But I've also got one coming called Hop on Pot, which is going to be sort of a hop on pop Fox and Sox parody of the Dr. Seuss rhymes and tongue twisters all about cannabis, of course.
That's nice. That's nice. Now, are you going to be doing a tour or anything to promote your work where people can listen to you and enjoy conversing with you?
Yeah, if you go to overgrowcanada.com, I think all my tour dates are on there. You can also sign up for the 100 Seeds. Only Canadians can sign up. A lot of Americans have signed up, but I got to break their hearts and tell them I can't send them any cannabis seeds. But overgrowcanada.com's got all my tour dates on it, or if it doesn't, it should have shortly. I'm doing 22 cities. I'm going to be going from Victoria on the west coast to St. John's, Halifax, or St. John's, Newfoundland, right over on the east coast, and 22 cities in between. That'll be through March and early April. Hoping I don't go to jail again, but if I do, c'est la vie. But we're going to be talking to thousands and thousands of Canadians, giving away millions of seeds, and encouraging people to overgrow the government, to bring legalization in, and even to find out how they can open their own cannabis dispensary in their hometown to help sell and make cannabis available to everybody who needs it.
Cool. Now, is it here in America, if you want to open a dispensary, the states are doing silly stuff like they charge you $80,000 just to get a license and $100,000 for this. They make it so like it's cost prohibitive unless you are an expensive, highfalutin corporation. Now, is it set up like that there, or can mom and pops really make a mom and pop?
Well, it's different here because dispensaries aren't legal at all. So it's another example of this weird gray area with the cannabis laws. So under federal law, we're just trafficking in marijuana, and they want us to be arrested like everybody else. But because of the Charter of Rights, and because the courts aren't willing to put anybody really in jail for selling medical marijuana, the police have kind of given up in many cities on enforcing this because people don't want them to enforce it, and because when they do all the effort of busting you, and you go to court, and the judge gives you a community service and a discharge, and they go, we spent $100,000 charging this guy and raiding this guy, and it got nothing out of it. So they kind of give up, right? So the dispensaries all across Canada and municipalities, even though they don't really have the legal power, municipalities are becoming the ones who are legalizing in Canada. So in Vancouver, there's over 100 dispensaries, and the city has put in bylaws, and they do intend on probably closing half of those dispensaries. I've got two. One of mine is on the chopping block. The other one is hopefully going to get a license. And they are charging $30,000 for a license, which is 10 times more expensive. Yeah, there's nothing else. It's the most expensive business license fee in the whole book. Normally it's a few $100, and even for escort services, it's a couple of $1,000, but nothing is $30,000 except for dispensaries. But, it's still better than raiding them and shutting them down like some cities are doing.
Right.
And we're seeing more and more cities in Canada that are moving towards licensing and regulation and putting in rules because that's what works. And they can shut down some places that bother them using these kind of rules, but not using police raids and arrests and charges and all that. They use kind of the bureaucratic tools of business licenses and things like that to deal with it. And while I definitely think they're going to shut down too many places, I'm still glad that they're licensing a lot of dispensaries and that we're moving towards legalization at the grassroots level. Most of that's happening in BC. There's a lot of dispensaries across Canada. A lot of them are in Toronto now, and Toronto's done some raids on dispensaries, but they've pretty much given up. They're not really doing raids every day. There's dozens of dispensaries that have never had any problems that are still operating. And even getting raided doesn't mean you shut down. Often it just means you get new cannabis and hire a lawyer, and you open up the next day and keep going. And I'd say the majority of dispensaries that have been raided in Canada are still operating.
That's cool.
They might face charges, but they're still going. And the police are really getting, I think, stymied in their ability to deal with this. They do launch big raids. They spend a lot of money. Most of them reopen, and then they go, oh, well, we just spent $1 million out of our budget, and nothing really changed, except we're $1 million poorer now, $1 million less enforcement we can do on other crimes. So we're just overgrowing the government. This is how we've done it in Canada, from bongs and pipes and rallies and protests and seed banks, all of which are still illegal in Canada, but just get ignored because there's too many of us for them to deal with. And dispensaries selling cannabis and giving away seeds, as I'm doing, it's all part of that campaign to civilly disobedience, to overgrow the government, and to just have so many people breaking the law so openly and so peacefully that the government is overwhelmed and just has to give up because there's no public support for them to crack down. That's where we're at right now in Canada.
Well, marijuana is the assassin of youth.
That's what they say.
Well, we appreciate your hard work on the front lines because you are a face on the movement. You are someone who takes the hit, and you have had a few black eyes in the number of years that you've spent working in the movement. And on behalf of those who have benefited from your hard work and being able to get cannabis for medication and to be able to have freedom to smoke, thank you. Thank you so much. We're down to the last couple of minutes here. Let's give a shout out. Dana, any organizations or websites you want people to pay attention to?
Well, you can visit my website, danalarson.com, LARSEN.com, also overgrowcanada.com, and sensiblebc.ca. We're actually expanding Sensible BC to be Sensible Canada. It's our activist legalization group, and those can sign up at Sensible BC or at Overgrow Canada. You'll get some free seeds, and you'll be part of our team. And, of course, Green Buds and Hash if you want to read my books. And if you need some cannabis anywhere in Canada, check out cannabisdispensary.ca. We do mail order all across Canada. No prescription or medical requirement required. Cannabisdispensary.ca. We normally have, 30 to 50 strains and all kinds of good cannabis products. And I love getting cannabis to Canadians who need it.
Thank you so much. That rocks. And Kelly?
As you know, free vaporizer. It's a good time to get your name in as we move towards April the 20th and giving away 24 in one day. It's Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca.
And I want to remind people that anywhere there is sound found on the Internet, we are found on the Internet making sound. We can be found at iHeart, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, timeforhemp.com. And remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it's time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, time for help! Yeah.
Marijuana is illegal, right? Not necessarily. It depends on what part of the plant you're talking about.
In fact, some people here in California are selling marijuana right now. Consumer Bob has some of their products, and he's here to let us try them out. We're really looking forward to that, Bob.
Well, now, let me just say, before anyone gets upset or calls the police, let me point out that everything I'll be sharing is perfectly legal. When you say marijuana, you think of the stuff you roll up and smoke, but that's only one thing you can do with the marijuana plant. As hemp, the plant has been used for centuries, and some California entrepreneurs want to bring it back. Marijuana is grown all over the world, and yes, marijuana like this is smoked by people to get high. But that's not the only thing you can do with it. Marijuana or hemp has been used for making clothes and food for centuries. It was even legally grown in the United States to make rope during World War II. But all that's changed, and today it is illegal to grow hemp in the U.S., but it's not illegal to bring it in from other countries. That is, if you don't plan to light up. And the products that are made from it are amazing. I had a chance to check out a number of those products by some entrepreneurs who've tried to make a business out of selling hemp products. Products actually made from, yes, marijuana. Now, let me just show you. First off, this comes from the stock. Here is flax from a marijuana, from
we
hemp.
have to say that Sandra needs some water.
Sorry,
She got all choked up when you started talking about it.
Here's the flax. Here is next to it, if you want to feel this, this is the actual yarn made from it.
What do you do with this stuff now? What is it?
Don't
actually a yarn is made from it. From that yarn, then, you have products. Here's a hat and a handbag, both made from hemp. Can you feel that?
A little hemp bag and a little hemp hat.
Wow.
It's a little coarse, though it can be blended with other materials. You can make paper from it. Here's a Hemp World magazine, but the paper is actually not made from trees, but made from
hemp,
cannabis, marijuana. Okay?
Hot.
You even have products, soap, even lip balm made from hemp.
Thank you so much.
But the thing that is most outrageous is food products that are made from hemp. And this, I'm showing you right here, is Hemp-rella. Look at this. This is a cheese made from using hemp seeds. And of course,
wow.
You always eat everything nice I have for you. I thought you'd want to have...
Sandra's going to try that.
Okay.
I'm already coughing, and I haven't even taken... Oh, that looks just dreadful, Bob.
Well, here.
Do you have crackers or something to put it on? Or just a big
I'll make it real small.
Well, they have this cheese, and it's like tofu. It looks like tofu,
this
right?
is kind of... Oh, come on.
Go ahead.
Oh, man. I'm not even a
Here,
tofu
I'll try
eater.
it.
Okay, and this is a hemp...
It smells kind of spicy.
Vegetarian burger with hemp seeds in it. Okay?
Okay.
You get that real quick. You can put it in ketchup if you want.
I think I'll take the ketchup, but
You can see the hemp seeds in it.
We have to
I'm going to have a lot more at 5. Okay, on the 5 o'clock news, we will show you who's trying to grow and sell this hemp. What a face.
I just want to spit it out, but I won't.
I like the hemp burger.
I'm Consumer Bob in San Francisco on the trail of people using marijuana, but they're not smoking it, they're eating it and wearing it. It's a bizarre story, and I'll have it for you in a few minutes here on News 8.
Today, a group of California entrepreneurs wants to legalize the marijuana plant, but they have no plans to smoke it. Consumer Bob is here with details.
And certainly a controversial issue. They've tried to do this for years, and so far, no luck. Did you know you could walk around with marijuana and do it legally? Now, before you do something you shouldn't, let me explain. Hemp or cannabis is perhaps one of the most versatile plants in the world. And I'm not talking about getting high, but there is a problem. You can't legally grow it here. A group wants to change that, but so far their dreams have gone up in smoke.
This is a hemp silk blend, 60% hemp and 40% silk.
Candy Penn wants us to wear it. Richard Rose wants us to eat it.
I'm eating hemp.
You're eating hemp.
Hemp, cannabis, better known as marijuana. Long illegal, it's now getting a new life in some very odd ways.
This plant has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and it's been very beneficial to humanity.
Beneficial as a fabric, as a food supplement, as a conversation piece.
So if someone says, gee, that's a nice blouse you're wearing, what's it made out of?
Yeah, hemp, marijuana.
And it's all legal. While marijuana is illegal to smoke, the seeds and the stalks from the plant are perfectly okay. Fabric from hemp is worn all over the world.
It was used historically as rope, and then the first canvases were made out of hemp.
In fact, hemp was used by U.S. sailors during World War II.
Hemp for victory.
This government film was shown to Midwest farmers in 1942 to encourage them to grow marijuana.
Hemp for mooring ships. Hemp for tow lines. Hemp for tackle and gear.
But as soon as the war ended, the industry was once again abolished.
So today, hemp enthusiasts are trying to bring it back for fabric, paper, cosmetics, and food. Richard Rose makes cheese and vegetarian hamburgers using hemp seeds. Still, skeptics aren't so sure the move to legalize marijuana is so innocent.
Is this just a veiled attempt to legalize marijuana for smoking?
Not in my view, it's not, because you legalize hemp, you are not legalizing marijuana.
Now, people pushing these hemp products say you can't grow, or you can grow strains of marijuana that wouldn't be worth smoking. Today, Canada is experimenting with growing hemp, but most hemp seeds and fabric have to be imported from China, Thailand, and Hungary. So obviously, they'd like to see the product grown here, produced here, and they think there's a lot of money to be made.
And the debate will continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Free? Did you say free? Free hemp? Free hemp? Free hemp video and audio? Free downloads of all the top artists, all the pot artists on planet Earth. Interviews with all the people making the movement, making the hemp movement. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp.